And I picked something, though, just, in passing, because we're getting into the state of Kenyan politics and all that. And this is just like, a thought-passing article. They're sampled and they're put out there in magazines. And someone said almost every day on the streets of Nairobi, one can't fail to notice, of course, a semi-naked or fully naked mentally ill man or woman. Those are remarks by Brian Maitai. Now, interestingly, many of the city residents find this normal, according to Brian, or even an integral part of urban life.
To walk around the city naked?
Like they say, in every, what they say, in every market, you always find a mad person.
It's true.
So they pretty much find that normal. Now, one can therefore, according to this article, conclude that most Nairobians, and I'm very specific to this article I'm reading, are themselves either emotionally or mentally deranged. I read this, and me living in Nairobi, I thought we normalize quite a number of these things. Yeah, we laugh about it. We say, oh, of course you can't lock one of these 2-3 people. Disheartening. People try to find humor around it, but is it really humor?
Well, it's true, because how are you going to diagnose? There's that word, a madman. If you've not seen a similar trait that you may have experienced, one has to think about that. How do you say, okay, this is something? Do you then, do you recognize something?
My question is, you recognize, fine, put it out, trend, okay, but are we more helpful?
Good question.
Are we ever helpful?
Very good question.
Do we intend to be helpful?
Our intentions pure.
Are our intentions pure? That's a big word when it comes to politics as well, does it not? Intentions. What are the intentions? If your intentions are pure, at whatever level, political, educational, community, family, relationships, if your intentions are pure, the likelihood of a positive result then is higher. That segues into our conversation for this hour. From impeachment to protests to everything. Which way, Kenya? And what are we doing today? Our guest for the hour is seated. He's a man you all know. And because, of course, made his stamp in Kenya's politics, but as well as in the National Assembly. Samuel Pogishio is the former ICT minister and former Senate Majority Leader, and he's our guest this hour as we look into how political trust can be restored. Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, it's good to be here.
Karibu Sana, great to have you here. Yeah. We're getting into a number of conversations, but we're going to remind you a couple of things, even as we talk about a healthy political state. There's a need to have a healthy mind and body, isn't it? Gigi?
Well, there is. Even if you don't think so, it is important. We are alive and we like to stay alive, but staying alive can be painful. And usually it's because you're unwell. But you don't get unwell in a day. Something happens to your body is visited by alien organisms that then create problems that require you to get medical care. Now, you don't actually need to get there. You can actually figure out what is wrong long before you actually need to be hospitalized, as we say. Yes, long before those WhatsApp messages start flying out that so-and-so is in need of this and the other. There's an organ that has gone left and we need to replace it. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
The Akan University Hospital is saying, please present yourself to any of our outlets. All we require you to have is 9,950 shillings and you will be able to receive a thorough checkup. And that checkup will inform you about the state of your health. And that state of your health and the information therein is what will now enable you to take the steps that will guarantee you continue being healthy and you continue living a healthy life.
Amazing. One time a year, do it. 9,950 at Aga Khan, and you can make sure that everything is hunky-dory as you continue. All right. It's education season. Rather, it's a season where a lot of universities are taking their intake for this particular semester. And you're thinking, okay, so maybe I want to fiddle with the idea of doing education abroad at the university level. Okay. Well, the Cradle Study Abroad World Fair takes place on the 31st of August, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Where must you go? The Gallant Mall in Parklands in Nairobi. And many things will be happening on that day. There'll be universities from across the spectrum, from different countries, and you can go there. They are showcasing, and you will also then be able to apply right there on the spot. Somebody's going to walk you through. You can also apply for scholarships. Again, there'll be somebody to walk you through. Visa consultations taking place with visa officers on ground to sort you out, as well as your accommodation information that you would need. It's the Study Abroad Fair. It's the World Fair. www.cradle.com. Get on there, register, because we need you to register before you go for the fair, okay? Because it's invite only, but the way you get your invitation is by registering. So please do that ahead of time, or you can pick up the phone and dial 0799 000 444. There'll be somebody on the other end of the line to help you out. Ça va? Bien. All right. We're getting into a political conversation this hour. Wenshimua, thank you for being here this morning. But we want to welcome you properly. You know how you go places, they welcome you with a cup of tea.
Yes.
A cup of tea is to be found in a proverb.
Right.
This young man goes around to countries around the continent. He's visa free. He can go. And he comes back every week from a particular country. This week we are in Chad. And he'll tell you the day's proverb, and then you can tell us what it means to you. Is that okay?
Yep.
Fantastic.
Okay. Arrogance burnt the chief's compound. That is the proverb.
Very relevant, actually, in Kenya today. There's a lot of arrogance in the play in our leadership here, and it just means, you could be a little bit humble and save a situation. And that if you remain arrogant, you could actually destroy yourself and destroy others as well. And in this case, we have had to remove a cabinet. We have had to remove even a governor based on suspicions or claims of arrogance. I mean, arrogance is in Africa actually is the display of opulence and undermining other people. So you find that if you're in a village, you cannot look like you're trying to outlive everybody else. So that burns the storehouse.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it would actually burn it down.
Yeah.
So we are in an interesting place in Kenya today, where there are very different elements at play at the same time. Like, there was a little over a month of protests, and there's still this bubbling under surface that it's likely that period has not ended completely. And then we see a lot of political affiliations happening. And then we see, like you said, yes, governors impeached, and people saying, it can actually happen. We also want to jump on this bandwagon. What's politically, what would be your overview of what's happening in the country today?
Well, first of all, let me be very clear. I'm very thankful to be here. This is something I follow. I follow you guys every day.
That's great.
And I know the things that go on. I'm so very privileged to be invited. We are in a very...
Actually, we are the ones who are privileged to have you. Yes.
We're honored.
Yes, we
Well, we are in a very precarious situation, a very unprecedented situation in this country today, politically. We got to the edge, to the brink, a few weeks ago. Remember when people were running under the basement or embankment to escape the Gen Zs. That was really, I think, the lowest point in terms of thinking we are gone as politicians. And there's nothing as big as protecting politicians. What would you do without your parliament and parliamentarians? I'm sure some of you would say, celebrate, let's do it. But
CT, not some CT to your right. Have a thing or three.
I see now it's become almost an official word to call parliamentarians MPigs.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say MPigs, people tend to know. They know exactly what you're referring to. And yet, today, the things you're discussing about bursaries, about anything, nothing moves without these people. And that's why I think we're in a very unprecedented situation today, when they seem to be shaken, they seem to be moved. The confidence around politicians is gone. I saw the other day somebody trying to use his influence on the traffic, and the young man just stayed in his car and refused. I mean, these are the things which were unprecedented.
Yeah.
We didn't expect that to happen. So it's a reality check for Kenyans and for politicians. It's a reality check from the president all the way down. It's not business as usual. And this place, it can be occupied. and the feeling that it can be occupied makes everybody shake in their boots. And so, so yesterday then became one other thing which is an eye-opener. It can be done, and governors beware. And so the message is going out there saying things is called accountability. That's a very strange word for us, in politics. Accountability to who? Accountable to who? And that's now realistic, that it's possible for the taxpayer.
Yeah.
The guy who sustains you there. And that's, by the way, the reverse of everything. We don't realize that we are being sustained there in our opulence by a poor taxpayer, another taxpayer, somebody who is just paying his taxes. So, yeah, I understand now is that a reality check. And I think some people are getting it. And I think some people just don't get it.
I want to speak on this restoration of, trust and public trust. There is that public vis-a-vis the politicians. But what we saw yesterday during the impeachment of course, Governor Mwangaza, was some sort of, remarks being thrown in the Senate from politicians themselves to a sitting Speaker of the Senate. I mean, if I just quote the words of the Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna calling Speaker Amason Kingi an embarrassment. Right in the, what the public is watching. I don't know what you would say, as far as instigating this kind of lack of trust from the public is concerned, right from the politicians themselves and in very key houses of, legislation and oversight like Senate and Parliament.
Well, thank you. I speak these days a lot about something I call the trust deficit. It is the missing link in leadership today. There is trust defined as a confident belief in someone is lacking, and to believe that one of the biggest things you can do today is you can be as rich and as enlightened, and one word called trust can bring down a whole organization, can bring down a whole company, a whole government, and when you reach a place of trust deficit to where whatever you do, even if you say it 6 times, people just take it with a pinch of salt, you have lost trust. And what we do, and I belong to something called the Trust Leadership Institute, because since I've been away from Parliament, that's what I've gone into studying leadership, but particularly on trusted leadership, is to understand that once you lose that confidence and belief, and I see a lot of politicians today who speak, and you can speak, shout, seek for some support, and nobody is supporting you. And people are beginning to question you even when you're still there on the rooftops of your cars. And the questioning is, can I trust that guy? A research was done in the US and found out that 50% of workers say they cannot trust their boss to hold $1,000 for them, just keep it for them. This is what has come to leadership now. The question in leadership is, can I trust you? And as I was watching the impeachment yesterday, the question of trust was thrust upon the governor. And especially there was a persistent thing about a letter which was not authenticated and purportedly written by somebody who didn't write it. And so the question came, was this forged? And if it seemed very likely that it was a forged letter. That is a very big issue on trust. And of course, you have seen that even our president today has to go personally every week out on his car to explain the things personally. And that indicates that the message is not getting clear until I say it myself, And yet, as I said, a lot of people have pledged loyalty. They have taken oath as ministers that they're going to be the advisors and they'll be in the president's corner. But it takes the president himself to go out there and actually try and explain himself all the policies. So where is the trust? How much is the trust in Kenya? What is the trust deficit?
Does it
and
matter?
how do you restore that trust?
Does it matter to I'm talking from a politician's point of view. You've been one.
I am one.
Still one. Are you?
Yes.
Okay. I'm talking about now sitting in that position. For example, for what we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
Does it matter to politicians that Kenyans trust them?
It doesn't matter, because most of the time, Kenyans elect the person they don't trust.
Interesting.
And you know, it's because we have so impoverished these Kenyans that as long as you're slightly elevated financially, the trust issue is out of the window.
So whether these people who elect you don't trust you, trust you, doesn't matter.
They don't trust you. And if you want to know, as soon as they elect you, they regret the act of electing you.
As soon as
they elect you. And so most of the people that you see today are in parliament, and three months after they've been elected, they probably would have been rejected already, because you promise so many things, and immediately you get into that place, you disappear. You don't get. Your people that you promise things with, the people who supported you, lose trust in you immediately. So trust is at the center of our politics, but we ignore trust. And the people are saying, "Can I trust you?" But for now, if you can give me 100 shillings, 200 shillings, I will change my mind and trust you for the election. But in real life, I know you, and I know something called character. Is the most important thing, until, to the place where even Kenyans have a law. On chapter 6, they have a law that guides. They have tried to say you must be a man, woman of character. But the voters end up picking the people probably not with the best character, because what we have done in this country, and I think we might begin to think, is how do we train our people to say, can I trust you with my leadership, with my vote?
Exactly, because how do we train the people? And this is the electorate, and it is quite interesting to hear you say, Mheshimiwa, that on one side is the people who are like people they don't trust. In fact, you're saying as soon as we vote them in, we regret it. Is this, on the other side, the same people who are calling out for accountability? I mean, these same people are going to be voting in 2027, but this is a cycle. In fact, we have one of the most expensive elections in this country. We have an aftermath that we also have to heal from. It's a cycle we want to continue with, and not forgetting the voter apathy that we have been witnessing, people going down by the day, probably not coming out to vote. Looks like we are either losing the country, or is there even hope in restoring the hygiene and not continuing to calcate a political culture of lie to me so I can vote you in and regret later. What do you think would be the way forward for the electorate listening this, of course, at this moment?
You see, one of the things, the reasons why not very many people can run for president in this country.
All right.
So you could have the best person, but is unable to run for president because we made it so expensive that if you don't have money, people just pass you by. The same thing with the governor position. Very few people can actually afford to run for governor in this country. And if you look at the budget they talk about, it's just so prohibitive that very few people. And so only those people in that category of moneyed people, the category of the rich, if you can't afford something 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, some people have spent almost 600, 700 million running for governor in this country. And you wonder what is it what is their interest in monetizing a position. And you wonder why people then complain later that governors have become, corrupt. But if going to that place has cost him that kind of money, how do you expect the person not to try and recoup that money? And how do you recoup that money from salary? You can't recoup it from salary. And so the issues that we are mixing here is that we have a leadership that takes advantage of people who don't understand those kind of monies, who don't understand what they're going to suffer after this person has been elected, until they're in there. And then we have come to a place as politicians where we paint everything that we touch as benevolence from us. Even when the money belongs to you.
So what needs to change? Because essentially what we're doing here is almost as though we're going around and saying that, okay, people who get into elective office have to spend a lot of money in order to get there. Whatever they're doing with the money to get there, I mean,
how they get it?
How they get the money, whatever they're spending it on, we don't know. But we know that in order for you to get from this point to this point where you've been elected, you're going to need, for Senator, 35 million shillings. Governor, almost 50 million from the numbers that we saw, right? And so it's almost, I shudder to say it, but it's almost justifiable then that when you get into that position, you're going to want to recoup your investments. But we are also saying that you want to, how do you expect them to get the money back? But what has caused this situation whereby we are saying you must spend this amount of money to get into this position? We're almost justifying that whatever means they will use to recoup their money, then it's okay because the system dictates that you must spend that kind of money. And for me, it just sounds so obscurely warped that we have accepted a system that demands you pay that amount of money to get into a position where you are to serve the people.
But consider, you see, you are doing the thing that an honest person does. You're being altruistic. And you're saying politicians go into politics to serve.
It should be, maybe even realist. Maybe even realist.
Yes,
you know? Okay.
But and there are those who do, actually. I have met politicians who genuinely seek to serve and they try their utmost.
Do they spend that 35 million shillings?
I wouldn't know how much they spend. What I do know is that they represent a breed of individuals in this country who are soon to be extinct.
Okay.
That's what I know. But if you take the view that the people who go into politics now are business people, not politicians. They call themselves politicians because that particular work they're going into is called politics. So they'll brand themselves as such. So the 50 million is an investment. And so they do not mind how much they invest. It's not really a problem because they know exactly how they're going to get a return. If I'm looking at it clinical and I'm saying that seems to be what has become of our politics. It is a business. Somebody spends, call it an investment, and they know full well, not expect, they know and they figured out how it is they're going to. Partly because that money is not necessarily all theirs.
Yeah.
There are people who support them. There are people who invest in their candidature. And when they invest in their candidature, the individuals will also expect a return.
Is that the way it should be? Sure.
I think he's right in the sense that there's a lot of business input into the politics of today. I can just, in retrospect, I think we should have been thinking about those questions as voters. But we never have time to think. We are bombarded with images, messages, and so on. The question we should be asking ourselves as voters is, and we never ask, is where did this money come from? You know, where did this money come from? And secondly, the people who support by contributing money will expect favors immediately. You become, you get elected, and so you struggle with the balancing act of: do I now serve the people? Do I begin to pay my debts? Do I begin to, and so the process of corruption starts there. The thing that baffles me is that we have seen people in 5 years, become billionaires in 5 years. And nobody's questioning what business is this so we can all go and invest in. Because if you have a good business, you can at least invite us to say, here is an opportunity to invest. How does that happen? And we, before all our eyes, all the eyes, the intelligence eyes, the investigative eyes, the anti-corruption eyes, we've seen these people, we know them. And we don't worry about it. That's the nature of the African, or is it Kenyan? We don't worry about it. We celebrate the person who becomes a billionaire.
And we should worry about it. Yeah. We should worry about it. Yeah. I mean, it's almost incensing that we don't. But let's take a break on that point, shall we? Let's take a break at 27 minutes to 10 o'clock. And Mheshimiwa Sam Pogisho is our guest this hour. And we're looking at, from the different things that are happening in the country, how do you restore trust in politicians and the process? It continues after this.